Hello up there. It's Brad J. Lamb. You too can become a condo millionaire. The Todd Shapiro Show. Canada Laughs. SiriusXM 168.
Brad Lamb's here. Brad J. Lamb. How are you, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, good. There's all these big NHL hockey trades that everyone's talking about today. You hear about this?
No.
PK Subban.
Oh, yeah?
Look a little closer to the mic if you don't mind. We'll just bring it down there. You know PK? Have you met PK?
I've never met him. I know who he is.
He got traded for Shea Weber from the Nashville Predators.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. It's a weird trade.
Yeah. I feel bad for him.
For?
PK Subban.
Why do you feel bad?
Who wants to live there?
In Nashville?
Dude.
Have you been to Nashville?
I have.
You know, I thought it was kind of fun town.
It's a fun town for a weekend.
Okay.
For life, I would kill myself.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Yeah. and then they traded Edmonton guy Taylor Hall.
Yeah, he's a great player.
He's a great player, and they traded him to New Jersey.
For who?
I don't like a nobody. Adam Larson or something? I don't even know.
Yeah, Adam Larson.
Did they get a bunch of money or something?
Straight? No, just like a one. I don't get these traits.
He's a superstar.
He's a superstar. Number one
potential superstar anyway.
Totally. And then Stamkos did not sign with the Leafs. He just signed with Tampa Bay.
Oh, really? Huh?
Yeah.
That's too bad.
That's too bad.
The Leafs might not need him now, though. They got some good guys.
Sure. Could you ever be like how does the business, do you know much about the sport and the business dealings behind it, not just the game that most of us guys watch?
No, I don't know much about it, but I think it's a crap business.
Interesting.
Yeah. They don't make any money.
Ego is like an ego play?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, if you love hockey and you're shit at it, right? Maybe you're a little fat and you can't skate. I shouldn't say that.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think guys that buy sports teams probably weren't very good at sports, except for Mario Lemieux. He inherited a sports team, right?
Yes.
Really.
So the guys who get into it and you can own it, if you made enough wealth as a player, then it's good.
But I think it's probably a lot of fun to own it. You get a lot of opportunities to do some pretty cool things.
Have you ever thought about owning a fun project at this point in your life? Something that you would maybe even know it might be a bad business decision, but you know what?
You know what? I started a hotel brand called the Bradley. We don't have any hotels yet, but I own the brand, and I'm going to start one in Toronto, in the West End. And I'm told by everyone in the hotel business it's a terrible business, but I think it looks like a lot of fun.
Are you going to do like a chic, cool, modern, awesome?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Everything that I want in a hotel that I just never seem to get. Like, there's some great hotels, but I always find something that I don't think is perfect, you know? So I want to try to find the perfect mix of everything, right? That's like one of the things that bugs me about hotels is ice, right? You get in, you want to get a drink. You either have to go to an ice machine. That's not a great hotel. Or you have to call down and get ice. Ice machine's in the room.
Makes sense to me.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Little things like that.
It's not even that hard to do, really.
I don't even know. That's amazing.
Well, actually, I didn't make up the idea. There's a great hotel in New York called the Mark.
Okay.
And it has like a mini ice maker. It's maybe 6 inches wide. Makes 100 ice cubes. It's great.
That's all you need. Ice in the rooms.
Big thing.
The Bradley. It's a big thing.
The Bradley.
How big do you think you make the Bradley?
I actually have a piece of property, but I don't want to say where it is yet.
Okay.
But it is down right in the West End, the best part of the city for a hotel, coolest part of the city. And I'm going to do about 160 to 180 rooms.
Wow.
Do a rooftop pool, rooftop restaurant. I'll do a very cool, sneaky hideaway bar, like an alley bar.
Yes.
Down the side, you'll have to have the password to get in.
All right.
You'll have the password.
Okay, thank you. That's awesome. I'm going to hold you to that. Okay. Remember the password is like, you're not getting in.
No Todd's allowed.
Yeah, that's the password. Wow. So how long would it, is the process of building and marketing a hotel sort of the same as it would be for you marketing a new project, a new condo?
They're similar. I mean, real estate, it's a rental vehicle like an apartment building would be, or an office building, because you've got daily rents. So most lenders want to see a flag, which would be like a Four Seasons or or a Westin. Or they're comfortable if you have a flag managing the hotel. I don't want to do that. I want to start my own little cool brand called the Bradley, and I want to do it my way, which is probably the worst way to do it. Right? I'm going to learn as I go. But it's going to take a lot of money. Like normally, you'd probably need about 30% equity to build a hotel if you had a flag running it. I'm probably going to need to go 50% equity to do it. Whoa. Probably, yeah. So it's not a great business decision, really. It's just something I don't know why I've wanted to do it all my life, but
so you're going to get this done. man, every time you come in here, I just think to myself, there's so much stuff I say I want to do and don't do. And I think that's why it's, I saw you the other night at the Joe Carter Classic. By the way, I was pretty ripped. And I just remember coming up to you and going, hey, we love you, man. But and that's the sentiment we get from the team and the listeners and stuff. It's like, it's something to aspire to through the inspiring way about it. Where people, people just got to kind of act on some things and go and make shit happen. Life's kind of short, right?
It's way too short.
It is short.
Yeah.
Does that freak you out a little bit with age and stuff as you get older? Like, let's just get stuff done.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly creeped up on me. I've done a lot. I mean, it's not like I've sat idly, but I feel like I've got so much more I want to do, and I definitely feel that I'm not going to get it all done. I mean, I have to live to 120 years old to get it done. And I don't think I'll be a good 120.
Do you have? Are there sort of material goals that you ever set for yourself, like a private jet or things like? Is that stuff that you ever think about?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think having a private jet would be cool. I think they're like really stupid from a financial standpoint. They don't make a lot of sense. But I guess it's like a sports team or anything else. If you have the money, and you want to waste it on something like that, then it's a good thing. I think at some point, when I had a net worth of a certain amount, I might do something like that. Cool. I'd like to get a big boat. I was down at the Miami International Yacht Show this year.
Wow.
And I looked at yachts.
No way.
If I wasn't getting a divorce, I would have bought a yacht. My yacht just sailed away, man.
Brad J. Lamb joins us at TorontoCondos.com with developments all across Canada. Week after week after week, we always discuss the importance to have an experienced top agent, which obviously work at Brad J. Lamb Realty. Why is it important? Again, why? Just another reminder why it's so important to engage one.
Well, I mean, the first thing is that, the basic simple thing of a contract. When you buy a piece of real estate, you don't use a lawyer to draft a contract, use a real estate agent. And I see all kinds of incredibly badly crafted offers that actually get buyers and sellers in trouble because they're signing a contract that's not good. It's just not well written. So, little things like, for instance, is there a parking space included in the offer? Well, if you forget to put the parking space in the offer, you don't get it.
Wow.
Right? Parking space numbers. So if you put the wrong parking space number, that can actually cause a property not to close because someone's gone and inspected the spots, not the one they expect. So now they don't want to close because they're not getting the parking spot they wanted. Lockers, condo fees, getting the right amount of them. What's included in condo fees? This is just for condos, but also when you look at a house, right? Most people when they buy a house, they go in the front door, they look at the house, they leave. What you really should do, and a very experienced real estate agent will tell you, walk across the street and take a long look at that house, right? Take a look at what that house feels like and looks like on the street. Is it sinking? How's the roof look, right? Are there any obvious encroachments on the property? Just, things like that. It's the little details that make a good real estate agent. And then also, in Toronto now, it's very hard to buy a house, like an actual single family house, because there's 5 to 10 to 15 offers per sale. And to win one of those is tough. And I'll tell you, the people that win are the ones with the strong real estate agents. They push you. Otherwise, we've got clients that we're trying to push, and we're getting better at pushing. They're very difficult people. Like, you have these clients in this industry. And, they've missed on 12 houses, and they've been looking for a year. I mean, at that point, it just sucks. You don't want to buy a house anymore. Like, it actually causes a strain on your relationship, right?
No question. So
strong, knowledgeable, experienced real estate agents make a difference, and they're worth their weight in gold. I mean, when I buy commercial real estate, I have a commercial firm within my office, but I don't hesitate to use other expert commercial brokers when I'm trying to buy commercial real estate. I pay people for that service.
Good to know. When offers come in, how does that process work for home buyers? So they see maybe a property listed at $899, perhaps in their head they're like, it's probably for 1.1, maybe a little more. They're gonna, maybe there's a bully offer. How does that actually work for people? Because that's one of the questions I keep getting, because there's some anonymity towards it, right? Where you don't really know who's doing the offers or something. How does that work?
Well, first of all, today when you buy a house, this is another reason why you need an expert agent, because like a house will be listed at 900,000, it'll sell for $1.4 million. Now you would never know that if you were like, even if I'm buying a house, I don't know enough personally about house values in Toronto anymore to advise anyone on a house price, right? So you need someone that is spot on in that neighborhood and knows every trade and was in every house. They saw why one house sold for $1.5 million and a similar looking house sold for $1.3 million, right? And you need to have that knowledge. But the way these work is it's an auction nowadays with houses if there's multiple offers. And so but there's a new twist to this now. So it used to be that the offers were sealed and nobody knew anyone else's offer. And an agent would say, okay, if there's 10 offers, we'll settle with 3, we'll work with 3. You guys stink, they're not good offers. These are the 3 best, we'll work with them. Go back and get us your best number. They come back with the best number and say, is this really your best number? And number 3 says, yeah, it's my best number. The 2 others say, well, I think I can do better. They go back and they come back again with another round. It doesn't end till someone gives up, till someone stops making a better offer. Nowadays, though, it's quite common where the real estate agent will say, listen, we have an offer for $1.1 million. That's the best offer. Will you go $1.11 million? Yeah, I'll go $1.11 million. Okay, we've got $1.11 million here. Will you go $1.12 million too? And it's like an actual auction now. So, and that's perfectly acceptable in our real estate rules, right? But it hasn't been done that way before. And by doing it that way, you actually get your vendor more money.
Well, for sure. And what I like about it is, and I think years and years and years ago, I was kind of going back and forth. I never really knew what the number was, which made it weird. Like if it was at the time, I was probably dealing with something that was like $450,000. So if it was 457, why would I have to jump to 490, not kind of knowing it? So I'd rather know the number to then get then kind of get an offer, which hopefully wouldn't be topped.
Yeah, well, that's actually why it's happening more and more, because buyers are revolting and saying, hey, this isn't fair. I need to know if there's actually another offer, really, right? And that's the other thing now. We have new rules for actually disclosing and showing offers, right? You can't, because one of the tricks that bad agents would do, dishonest people would say, yeah, there's 3 offers, right? Maybe there's 1, they'd say there's 3. And and they'd be negotiating with themselves. The buyer would be negotiating with themselves to get more money.
Wow.
And that has happened. That does happen. I wouldn't say it happens often, but it has. And so there's new rules to prevent that.
Good to know. Brad J. Lamb joins us, of course, from Brad J. Lamb Realty. The condo bubble we hear about a lot. The real estate bubble we hear a lot. Is there a difference between just a condo bubble or a real estate bubble? What's going on?
Well, I mean, first of all, condominium prices haven't gone up anywhere close to the amount that houses have gone up. So if I don't believe there's a real estate bubble, and I'll say why I don't in a minute, but if there was a bubble, it would be in the Annex or in Rosedale or in Ossington, right, where the houses are trading at 20%, 30% more than last year. That is unsustainable. Going forward, we can't see those increases for years. But I don't think there's a bubble, and the reason why is that the actual cost of ownership is really no different now than it was in the 60s because interest rates are very low, right? And so really how people finance or think about houses is they think about what does it cost me a month? How much of my paycheck goes towards housing? And right now it's not an all-time high. It's not even close to a high right now. But I understand that people are afraid and they don't think it can continue. It will continue until it stops. And that may sound like a smart thing to say, but it will stop. It always does, and it will stop when interest rates rise and when we have a recession. And it won't end until we have a recession. There's not going to be a magical, like in Calgary, you had a real estate recession going on right now because of oil prices, right? So there's a recession in Calgary caused by oil prices. But in Toronto, we don't have anything that we're reliant on like that for our economy. So the only way we're going to see real estate prices fall is to have an economic downturn. So when that happens, prices will fall.
And if anything, even, at least this is kind of my opinion, I see all the, bigger companies and tech companies and companies like Coca-Cola and stuff moving downtown with more people being employed downtown. So even in times of maybe an economic crisis, and in crisis might be a strong word, in Toronto, I think there's going to be still a lot of sort of sustainable business with people living there and working hard to kind of keep prices pretty level. That's what I think anyway. And I mean, I'm no expert, but to me, that's why I don't see necessarily a bubble ever happening in a city that just continues to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, I mean, a bubble could happen. I don't think we're in a bubble now. I'm really sure we're not, but that's just me. But yeah, I mean, the fact that we have a really diverse economy and that companies are coming all the time and adding more jobs. I mean, when recessions happen, people get laid off, right? And there'll be a certain amount of fear. But look what happened in 2008. It's called the Great Recession, right? And in Toronto, we had a 9 or 10 month real estate blip. Just soldiered on. So Toronto will be able to fend off a recession better than most places.
I forget if I've asked you this, Brad, and I apologize if I have. The movie The Big Short, like, it literally freaks a lot of people out when it comes to buying a home and stuff. Is that? And did I ask you this before? I don't even recall. But I mean, there's no need for it's such a different situation, isn't it, than what exists here in Canada?
Yeah, there's absolutely no comparison to the two real estate systems. I mean, they're houses and you're buying them, but there's so many differences in the American process for buying, and there's so many differences in the American process for financing. And both of those differences caused the problem in the States. And of course, it did ricochet here and cause everyone problem everywhere in the world, right? But I mean, Toronto was in obviously in less bad shape banking wise than England and France. And I mean, you look at house prices in Spain, they still have not recovered from the recession. Italy, they've not recovered from the recession. Portugal, right? Places like Paris and London have, because they're cities that, just like Toronto, that don't suffer as much because they're wealthy cities. But a lot of places haven't come back from where they were.
People are also freaking out about The Big Short because of how much gray Brad Pitt had in his beard. They didn't know that. They were like, "Oh my, he has a lot of gray in his beard." I think that's real. The most important thing to do when you sell, you want to sell property fast. You're like, I'm short of money. I got to get out. Like, we just got to get where we're maybe a sudden job move, something happens. What do people need to do? What advice would Brad J. Lamb, realtor, give?
Well, I mean, it's pretty basic advice. First thing is get the best real estate agent in the neighborhood. That's easy. The guy with the most signs, the guy with the most stuff for sales, the best, or the woman. But the other thing is, today, staging is really, really important. It's so important that I started my own staging company. Yeah.
you're like something's important. I'm starting a company tonight. I don't even know what it is, but I'm doing something.
Well, the thing is, it's amazing when you walk into an apartment that's empty or a house that's empty, and then you walk into the same apartment that's staged. It's completely different opinion from a buyer. They won't even recognize the same apartment. And I find that in all our development stuff, we stage everything that we have. Everything that's left at the end of the project, the unsold inventory, we stage every unit. And they sell in an average of 0 to a week because they're so beautifully staged.
I'll tell you a story, actually. When I was working with Scott Shallow, one of your agents, there was a house we really loved, but it was bare empty. And I'm a pretty visual guy and good with design, but I still couldn't quite figure it out. And then we ended up buying a house that was staged very nicely. And to this day, I sometimes regret maybe not buying the other house. And I wonder if that staging would have made the difference. I really believe, like, if I kind of just saw things differently, because I actually think it would have made it look a lot bigger. Like, is that what furniture sometimes does that people are sort of surprised by?
Well, it does. It also shows you how the apartment or the house can be furnished. So you can imagine living there because there's a dining room for 8 people there. I get that, honey. We have 8 people over for dinner sometimes, right? We want that kind of dining room. So it allows you to imagine how you can live there. And also, the staged apartments live so much better than you do. I don't mean you specifically, but most people they're not really very stylish, right?
Sure.
They don't really know the right furniture and the right color paint. Some people have that skill, but most don't. So when you walk into an apartment that's professionally staged, you imagine how great your life would be if you could be like this, right? And it makes you want to buy.
Is it inappropriate, Brad, to go and use the master bedroom for like a half an hour just to make sure you're truly comfortable? Is that like you're not allowed doing that when you have an appointment, are you?
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that. Yeah. Although I'm sure people do.
Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. There's been a lot of press lately about something called shadow flipping of properties, primarily in Vancouver. I don't even really know what that means, and is this a problem?
Well, it's depressing. Every day I open, I read the nuppaper every day. I told that.
Globe and Mail.
Yeah, and every day I read the newspaper, I see more horse shit about the real estate market. I feel like writing I want to write 5 letters to the editor every day. It drives me mental how badly researched these stories are. It's like I get interviewed all the time by newspapers, and they come to me with an idea, a story, before the story's there. Like, I want to write a story about this. Can you give me information? I'm like, there's no story. There's no story to tell. They're not satisfied with that. They want to find a story.
Sorry to interrupt. The analogy that just popped in my head is, on a much sort of more layman perspective, is most guys can't stand sports writers because they're not guys who played the game and they're just trying to write to sell papers. Maybe is it safe to say that, like, if it's not an expert in real estate writing that article, that we can look at a guy writing an article about real estate like a dumb sports writer who never played the game?
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I mean, so anyway, shadow flipping, what is that? So in Vancouver, unscrupulous real estate agents would use a cover buyer to actually buy a house themselves in partnership with the shadow buyer. Then they would sell it for more money to in this case, Chinese buyer. It was a mostly Chinese agency, not Chinese, it's a Canadian agency, but with Chinese descendants working there. And so, it caused a huge uproar. I mean, it's certainly not a common practice anywhere. I mean, it would imply that the owner is so stupid that they have no idea what their house is worth. And that's kind of, what you should do as an owner is get 4 or 5 guys to give you the price your house is worth. So why would you sell it for less to this guy so he could flip it for more? What I think is happening in that case is the new buyer is getting screwed. They're probably from China and they want to park money. So they don't particularly care. I mean, they care, but they're more apt to pay more money because they're not educated as a buyer. I think less likely the owner got screwed and more likely the new offshore buyer got screwed.
Isn't that interesting?
But it's now you've got Christy Clark involved and you've got the Prime Minister involved, and it's bullshit. It's not a good thing for sure, but it's certainly not a practice being done anywhere in large numbers. So
it's like don't let the bad apple paint the brush of all realtors.
Yeah, and so now they're going to uncover create a whole bunch of new stupid rules for shadow flipping, which I don't know, 1 out of every million properties is shadow flipped. I don't know, it'd be more than that, but it's not a vast number of homes by any means, because it would imply the owner's an idiot, really.
Yes. Well, I mean, good to know. And I think ultimately what we're telling you is just be an informed seller or an informed buyer. Take your time.
Be informed in anything you do business-wise. Just educate yourself. It's easy to do.
The real estate industry, does it need more regulation or governments? Have we had enough?
Well, yeah, I'm going to say this because I am in the industry, but I think the industry self-governs itself pretty well. Listen, if you do something like, not return a key to an office on time, or you don't cancel an appointment that's made, right? Like if you're real estate, you make an appointment and you don't show up and you don't cancel it. I mean, those kind of things, you get in trouble all the time. Like, get hauled into the real estate board and they fine you, and they can even suspend your license. I think our industry is pretty well governed, but the powers that be are going to change that again, I think.
Would they ever come and whether it's the city or the federal government, and call upon experienced, successful, very intelligent, not only just realtors, but obviously brokers and owning firms and developers to get their opinion on this kind of stuff, or do they just go and make these decisions?
No, I mean they do. They do come to people who have knowledge in that area. I mean, listen, the Bank of Canada, not the bank, like the actual bank, but someone who works for the Bank of Canada has visited my office on a couple of occasions. We have a meeting coming up where they want to talk about how their policy affects the real estate industry, and they listen, So, I mean, there are, obviously they're not just going to make a bunch of rules to harm the industry, but I think it's already pretty well governed. And I think that this thing blew up in the newspaper, and now the latest thing that's causing panic within the newspaper and the news is that inside buyers are blocking people from being able to buy a developer's project. So what that would mean is I'd say, hey, Todd, you bought from me before. I'm launching a 200-unit building. We're going to sell 100 to our friends, family, and people who bought from us before. Come on in and check it out. And I give you a chance because you're a loyal client. Is there anything wrong with that?
I would expect it almost, to be honest.
That's exactly. I mean, that's how any business works, right?
Yeah.
You reward those that reward you. And so it locks out a bunch of people from being able to buy at opening prices. Well, so what you have to do is you have to become a loyal client.
Sure.
That's what you have to do.
Take a chance on one, and then you'll have that opportunity for the next one.
Then you get the call. Yeah.
I love it. Jay Bro, do you have any quick questions or anything? Or are you
I got a quick question for you. You're usually like the first, in Toronto anyways, you've been one of the first developers to build in many different areas. Do you ever look at your building after, like maybe 10 years down the road, because usually you build these unique buildings with some style to them, and then I've noticed like next to your buildings, these other builders or developers will put up like very cookie cutter the developments. Does that frustrate you, or do you not care?
No, it frustrates me unbelievably. It depresses me. I'm looking out this window and I'm depressed. That is absolute crap.
Oh, yeah,
there,
there's
right?
terrible buildings.
And you know who built that, right?
I don't.
He declared bankruptcy.
Oh, can we say? I mean, the only one I know who declared bankruptcy lately was Urban Core. Is that right? Okay.
That's all urban crap over there. That's what it is. Yeah, no, it's very important to me too. I think it's anyone who cares about the city they live in, they want to make it more beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to me that other people. I mean, listen, some people probably don't like my buildings. I think they're too modern. I don't know.
No, that's dumb. Whoever said that's dumb.
No, I would agree with you, but there are dumb people.
Yeah.
The world's full of them, you know?
Okay.
So, I think that you should strive to try to make the city better, and it frustrates me when other people just do dreck for making just bucks, making money.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting. Well, Brad, I mean, always very informative. We really do always appreciate your time, and I think I think these are just such great tips for everyone to know. It's ultimately usually comes down to for the average guy and the average family, it is one of their biggest investments, if not their biggest investment of their life. Make sure you do it right. Brad J. Lamb Realty, TorontoCondos.com. Get an experienced, great agent, and just go and call them or email them for advice too, and they'll help you out. Thank you again, Brad.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. We look forward to opening up a company with you this evening over a cocktail or something. Back in a sec here.
The Todd Shapiro Show. Canada Laughs. SiriusXM 168. The Todd Shapiro Show.
All right, we really appreciate you watching that video. Make sure you check out some more videos. Why not? Let's get caught in the Shapiro Show vortex right here. Or you can subscribe to the channel right here and check out videos at any point because we're going to give you all the alerts. We do appreciate you being a part of our family. Most families hate each other, not ours. We love you.